Deep within the glowing valleys of fairyland, where rivers shimmered like liquid silver and flowers hummed lullabies, Lyra, the legendary tooth fairy, carried a secret heavier than any enchanted treasure. Her son, Elias, was not fully a fairy. Years ago, Lyra had fallen in love with a human man named Daniel, a kind-hearted dreamer who had always believed in magic. Their love was forbidden, for fairies and humans were never meant to be together. When their son was born, Lyra knew the fairy realm would never accept him. With a heart torn in two, she made the most painful choice of her life. She erased Daniel's memories of their love and left the child in fairyland, raising him among her own kind. But Elias was different. Unlike the other fairies who had wings that glowed in the moonlight, Elias's wings were faint, almost transparent. His magic flickered rather than flowed, and he always felt incomplete. He longed for answers, for a connection he couldn't explain. One evening, while Lyra was away on her nightly journey collecting teeth, Elias discovered something hidden deep in her chambers, a small, enchanted locket. The moment he touched it, visions flooded his mind. A human man holding a baby, laughter in the air, a warm embrace that felt achingly familiar. Elias staggered back, his heart pounding. Who was this man, and why did he feel like he had seen him before? Determined to uncover the truth, Elias sought out the oldest and wisest fairy in the land, Elder Mirthus, who had lived for centuries. The ancient fairy hesitated before revealing what Lyra had hidden for so long. Elias was half human. Shock coursed through Elias's veins. He wasn't like the others. He had a father in the human world. He had a family, but why had his mother kept this from him? Elias's heart was a storm of emotions. He loved fairyland, but a part of him now ached for a place he had never been. That night, while Lyra was away, he did the unthinkable. He opened the forbidden portal that separated fairyland from the human realm. The moment he stepped through, a rush of unfamiliar sensations overwhelmed him. The air felt heavy, the sounds louder, the sky darker without the eternal glow of fairyland's magic. He had entered the human world. Stumbling through the streets, his wings flickered and then vanished. He was fully human now. Panic rose in his chest, but something deep within him urged him forward. He had to find his father. After days of searching, Elias found himself standing in front of a quaint little house with a weathered blue door. Something about it called to him. Taking a deep breath, he knocked. The door creaked open, revealing a man with tired but kind eyes, Daniel. Elias's heart pounded. This was the man from his visions. His father. "Can I help you?" Daniel asked, puzzled by the boy's intense stare. I think you knew my mother," Elias said cautiously. "Her name is Lyra." The moment the name left Elias's lips, Daniel's expression changed. A flicker of something, pain, confusion, recognition, passed through his eyes. But before he could speak, a little girl peeked out from behind him. "Daddy, who is he?" she asked. Elias's breath caught. She looked just like him, with the same deep green eyes. His stomach twisted. He had a sister. Daniel, still trying to grasp the moment, led Elias inside. The air smelled of fresh baked cookies and cinnamon, a scent that felt oddly comforting. They sat in the living room, and Elias, unable to hold it in any longer, told Daniel everything, about fairyland, about Lyra, about how he had been hidden from this world. Tears welled in Daniel's eyes as memories he never knew he had started to surface. Images of Lyra, of their love, of a baby he had once held but somehow forgotten. "She made me forget," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Elias felt an ache deep in his soul. His mother had done what she thought was right, but was it truly fair? Just as the room fell into silence, a sudden gust of wind blew through the house. The air crackled with energy, and in the blink of an eye, Lyra appeared. Her wings shimmered with urgency, her face filled with both relief and sorrow. "Elias," she whispered, stepping forward. "You don't understand the danger you've put yourself in." Elias stood, his fists clenched. "Danger? The only danger was keeping me from my family." Daniel stood too, his voice firm but pained. "Why did you do this, Lyra? Why did you take my son from me?" Lyra's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I had no choice. The fairy realm would never accept him as half-human. If they found out, they would have taken him away, cast him into the void between worlds." Silence hung thick between them. Elias, overwhelmed, turned to his father. "But I belong here, don't I?" Lyra hesitated, her heart breaking. "You belong in both worlds," she admitted. "But if you stay here too long, you will lose all your magic." Elias's heart pounded. If he stayed, he would become fully human. If he returned, he would never know his father and sister. How could he choose between the two halves of his soul? For the first time in his life, Elias felt in control of his destiny. He looked between his mother and father, between the world of magic and the world of love. Then, an idea formed. What if I don't have to choose? Elias said suddenly. What if I could exist in both worlds? Lyra's eyes widened. It's impossible. The balance. But what if we rewrite the rules? Elias argued. What if we create a new kind of magic, one that allows fairies and humans to coexist? A silence fell over the room as Daniel reached for Lyra's hand. You erased my memories before. Can't you restore them all? Let me remember everything, so I can be part of both worlds too. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. She placed a gentle hand on Daniel's forehead, and golden light shimmered around him. His breath hitched as every memory came rushing back. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer just a man, he was a man who had once loved a fairy, and who still did. Tears rolled down Lyra's cheeks. She turned to Elias. If you return to Fairyland, you'll have to fight for this change. They won't accept it easily. Elias stood tall. Then I'll fight. For me. For us. For everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. With one final embrace, Elias promised his father and sister that he would return, that he would never again let magic separate them. As he and Lyra vanished into the night, Daniel whispered, "We'll be waiting." And for the first time, a bridge between the two worlds had begun to form.